Hey everyone. So I just want to make a comment about that OPM letter titled Fork in the Road that was sent out by Elon Musk's crew. And I am a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer, and this is not legal advice. I used to work in the government. I no longer work in the government. And if I was handed this piece of crap, I would not accept it. And, if you want to accept it, fine. But I will tell you that they do not have to live up to their end of the bargain, no matter what they tell you, either in person or in writing. And there's actual Supreme Court case about it that we will discuss because lawyers love discussing Supreme Court cases. So this is part of the memo from the OPM website. So apparently, Elon Musk and his people came in and they hooked their server up to the OPM server so that they can send out these communications and make it seem like it's coming from the government. That alone is probably illegal, in addition to what he did with the other servers. But let's see if anyone in Congress has a backbone and stands up to this. But under this memo, you were asked to resign, and they claimed they would pay you until September, and then you would leave federal service. And I will say that this appears to be the type of offer that he made to many employees at Twitter, that you can come in and double down and work hard, or you can leave and I'll give you a severance. And then they left, and then they didn't get the severance and they had to sue him. So that's the type of person you're dealing with. So I wouldn't take it. And if you are thinking, well, this is coming from OPM, I can trust OPM, no, you can't. Because if OPM is wrong or even lying, even if they're being told to be intentionally wrong or intentionally lie, you have no recourse. Why is that? Well, it's because the government has three branches, as you probably learned in civics class, and the executive branch executes and carries out laws passed by Congress. So they can't make their own law, no matter how you think presidential orders work or proclamations. You can't make a law that overrides the Constitution, and you certainly can't make a presidential order or declaration that overrides the Constitution. So you can't change the 14th Amendment with a stroke of a pen because you don't have that power. That's something that has to be done by Congress. And Congress has not appropriated any money for this buyout or for people to not work and still get paid. And so the executive branch, no one in the executive branch, not even the president, has the right to offer you this. So even if they put it in writing, it does not matter. If Congress did not approve it, you won't get it. And let's see. Even under their own memo, if you resign, you retain all pay and benefits, yada yada. The details are below. Exempted from in-person requirements. And if you look at the further down in the memo, it says it's making you sign this attestation that you're doing this voluntarily, which means you weren't coerced, you weren't bribed, which is not true. They're telling you they're going to fire you and that they will give you this pay to stay home. So you are being given something. You're not doing this completely voluntarily, but they're making you sign this thing that says that it is voluntary. And it says, I'm committed to ensuring a smooth transition, and I will assist my employing agency in completing reasonable and customary tasks to process and facilitate my departure. So what if they said, you know what, we don't have anyone to take up your workload, so you have to complete all these projects that you were working on anyway, and then you'll leave in September with your traditional workload, and if you don't like it, that's too bad because you resigned. And they don't have to undo your resignation. You can request for it to be withdrawn, but that's up to the agency, and I wouldn't trust them as far as they throw them. So you may have seen in the FAQs, which are not part of the document, that they claim that you can take on other work or you can look for other work, and that they definitely will absolutely pay you, and you can trust them on that. It's up to the agency to decide if you can take on other work or not. So if I was still in the government, which I'm not, and I wanted to do volunteer work at the courthouse, I would need permission from my agency to do it. It's not like I can go work at a law firm while I'm getting a federal salary. That's absolutely not allowed. And if you requested that from your agency, they would laugh in your face, and that might be grounds for firing you. So what if you hand in this resignation and then they fire you and don't pay you? So, well, you resigned, so why would they pay you? And they can say, well, Congress never authorized these payments, so we don't have to pay you. And then what is your recourse? You no longer work at the federal government, so you don't have the protections of the Merit Systems Protection Board, and you couldn't hire a lawyer, and they charge by the hour. And you're not going to win because there's actually a Supreme Court case on this, and it is OPM versus Richmond. And Richmond was a person who was in the Navy, and he was on disability, and he was receiving an annuity from the Navy, and under that disability annuity, he couldn't work more than a certain number of hours and get more than a certain amount of pay. Otherwise, it would disqualify him from these military disability payments. And then he asked for and sought guidance from the Navy about this, and they assured him it was fine. And then it was not fine, and OPM took back 6 months of his pay because he exceeded the minimum amount he was able to earn, and they took away his benefits. So he sued, and this went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, you are wrong. Even if somebody in your agency or OPM tells you this is fine, it is not fine. This went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says they can't promise you something that Congress did not authorize. You can't have it. They put it in writing, like they did for Richmond. If they tell you orally, like they did for Richmond, it does not matter. You can't have it if Congress didn't give it to you. And Congress has not authorized anyone to sit home and get paid till September and not have to work. So you can take them at their word, but the Supreme Court says even if they're lying to you, even if they're wrong, you can't have this. And this is actually a case of something called estoppel, which is a strange legal term. But the way you remember it in law school, estoppel has the word stop, right? So estoppel is usually used in contract law, and the sort of common word for it is detrimental reliance. So even if you don't have a contract, if somebody detrimentally relies on your promises, then there's a course of action under tort law. So what does that mean? So let's say that you tell me you're going to pay me $1,000 to paint your house, and I go out and buy $500 worth of paint, and I show up at your house, and then you say, you know what, I changed my mind, I don't want my house painted. Well, I wouldn't have bought the paint if you hadn't told me you want me to paint your house, and even though we don't have a contract, I detrimentally relied on your promise, and therefore you have to pay me. And that term is estoppel, and OPM versus Richmond, Richmond said, hey, the only reason I worked this extra amount of time is because people at OPM and the Navy said this was fine, and I did it, and then they told me it wasn't fine, so I should be able to rely on their representations, and they should be estopped from taking that money back from me because I did what was told to me was okay in writing. And the Supreme Court held that right here, here's the holding, payments of money from Federal Treasury are limited to those authorized by statute, and erroneous advice given by a government employee to a benefit claimant cannot stop the government from denying benefits otherwise permitted by law. So if they tell you something, even if it's in writing, even if it's in a email that was sent from a server that Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency sent from OPM, and it was on OPM letterhead, and it's signed by the president, you still can't have it because they're not allowed to give that to you. However, if you resign, your resignation is legal because you resigned, and therefore you will have resigned and gotten absolutely nothing for it. So I don't work at the federal government. I don't have a dog in this fight. if I was still there, I would not take this. And if you want to take it, that's fine. I'm not here to give you legal advice. I'm just here to comment about the law. And it's been a while since I've made my last video. I think I made one about a year ago, and then I made one last week. I was bored. I retired from the federal government. I left January 1st. So you might say, hey, you're too good looking and young to be retired. You're probably right, but I didn't need the money, and I didn't want to keep working if I don't need the money, so I just left. Yeah. So I have some interviews coming up, but doesn't matter. I think I'll be fine. I have plenty of money socked away, and I worked in finance, so I invest in stocks and stuff on the side. I don't do crypto. I don't do meme stocks. I don't do Nvidia. I invest in things like an insurer from Canada, a potash miner in Nevada, a real estate company in Florida, a company that makes shock absorbers in upstate New York. Really obscure things, but it uses my background in securities and finance and stuff like that. So I'll be fine. And if I don't go back to work for a law firm or anyone else, I'll still be fine. I can just do what was a hobby for me and do it full time. But this legal question came up, and I thought I would comment on it because I have a few friends who are in the federal government, and some are lawyers and some are not. And the outrage that they felt from the disdain that was sent in these memos, calling them low productivity workers and stuff like that. If I was there, I would be pissed. So I worked on some very important rulemakings, and a lot of them involved nights and weekends. And when I was at a law firm, I was getting paid a lot more to work nights and weekends, and I went to the federal government because I wanted a balance of life. But when important things came up, you step up. And so to be sort of dragged through the mud like this and then offered this non-offer, I think is kind of insulting. And if it was me, I would not take it. And I think if they're going to pay you till September, that's fine. If you stay, you're going to be paid till September anyway. And if they want to fire you, it will take some time. They'd have to put you on a PIP. And then if you still are underperforming, whatever that means, then they take you off a PIP. So I think I mentioned in my last video, we had somebody who was there at our agency like 20 years. And he was really sharp. He was a good guy. But later in life, he developed a drinking problem. And it eventually got so bad that not only would you smell the whiskey when you walked up with him rode up with him in the elevator, that he would miss meetings and they'd have to go to the bar around the corner to get him. And they put him on a PIP because they couldn't just fire him. And then he would stop drinking. Then he'd get off the PIP. And he'd start drinking again. Get off the PIP. And I don't know how long that took, but it was over a year. So between now and September is not quite a year. So if everyone was put on PIPs and whatever process that involves, I think that would take a lot of time because you're not just talking about one person, you're talking about millions of people. So anyway, I'm not telling you what to do. And I'm just saying, if I was there, I would not take this offer because it is not a legal offer. It is not enforceable. And I am not going to trust a offer that the Supreme Court says is not enforceable, no matter what letterhead they put on it, because I know the law. And yeah, so you do you. I as I said, I don't work for the federal government. I stopped January 1st, and I'm very happy not watching the news and just reading stock tables and things like that all day. I have this copy of Security Analysis by Ben Graham. I have 3 copies of this book, 3 editions, and I've read 2 of them, so I'm enjoying reading the third. And I have some books on options here that I have to get through. And yeah, so that was my hobby, and now it's full time. But anyway, those of you who are still working and just know that you're doing important work and people care about you, and I'm rooting for you. So don't give up. Fight the good fight.